stories and our stories tennis. G'day, welcome back to this Australian Open Live produced by Wise Words Media. We are live from our studios here in Melbourne, Australia, and we have come back just a little bit ahead of acceptances because we spotted an awesome match underway. It is the Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime, the Canadian, up against McDonald of the United States of America. This match has been going for 2 hours and 7 minutes out on court 5. And as I speak, McDonald, the American, gets his first service game under his belt of the third set. We're in the third set. So before we join these chaps, let's just do a little bit of this. We tell stories, and our story is tennis, and the tennis story getting underway this morning, Australian, local time here in Melbourne, Australia, but it is currently just ticking past 8 p.m. In the evening, and it's 23 degrees, the Billie Jean National Tennis Centre, and that includes Arthur Ashe Stadium. Centre court is covered by scattered clouds at the moment. Hopefully the weather will behave itself. Tomorrow in New York, it is forecast to be stormy, cloudy, rainy, grumpy, boisterous, raucous, in your face, and a bit of lightning as well. 27 degrees in New York for the second day of play at the US Open, and the next day a little bit more settled with the weather, 24 degrees and cloudy. But we have spotted a cracker of a match out on court 5, and we just couldn't wait to bring it to you. If you've just joined us, where have you been? We've been waiting for you all last week for 4 days in a row. We brought you live stream, live coverage, audio only, radio style coverage of all 4 days of qualifying, including the session that was washed out on day 3 with the men. Twice they had to stop play, and we also brought you some live previews of the US Open, and now we are into our live coverage of the US Open 2023 in Flushing Meadow, New York, and we spotted a corker of a match going on court 5. It's been going for 2 hours and 9 minutes, and it is currently 1 set all. You can't ask for better. And the American, in front of his home crowd on his home turf, got through a very tight first set, 7-6, 7 points to 5 in the tiebreaker. Now remember, tiebreakers work a little bit differently these days if you're a little bit old school like us. But the Canadian, who is ranked 15th, he's the 15th seed, this guy, Felix Auger-Aliassime, ranked 15th in this tournament, up against the unseeded American, and he went, that's enough of that, mate, and he took the second set 6-4, and currently trails Love 1 in the third set, but he is up 30 love on serve. So that's the state of play. While those chaps on court 5 continue doing that, let's just do a little bit of this. So every time you hear that stinger, we're just switching gears a little bit just to give you a heads up and pay attention. Pay attention. So we've got the live score, the IBM Slam Tracker. We've patched that in to our live broadcast coverage. It's the US Open 2023 first round, day one, and it's the night session. If you weren't with us earlier this morning, we brought you the day session. The afternoon matches, we brought you two dedicated matches. We covered those live. We followed those for a set each, and one match we left it was still going between the American and who was the other guy? It just escapes my memory. But then we tracked out onto another court out there, court 12, where we saw the local American Ethan Quinn, all scrawny, 19 years old of him, came up against a very experienced, well-credentialed and filled out 25-year-old Bernabe Zapata Moraes. He won in straight sets, 6-4, 6-4, 6-3. And unfortunately, this live scoreboard, and I'll just refresh it here, that we all know, we're all confident that it is doing its thing for us, that this score is current, because sometimes it can catch you unawares that you think it's updating, and then you realise that the score hasn't changed, the points haven't been updated for it's a little bit slow, and this is the case as McDonald has a break point, and he's taken that. He has taken that service game off the racket of the Canadian, the 15th seed. So the Yanks will be going troppo in court 5. They'll be losing their popcorn, spilling it everywhere, and the beers will be going, and the chants will be going, and no doubt they'll be handing out a fair bit of advice to the American. This is the grudge match of the day and night sessions. The local Yank up against the Canuck. And we're going to learn a lot about these guys as we follow this third set. We'll follow this third set live all the way to its conclusion, and then we'll change it up a bit, have a bit of a break for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes as McDonald, the American, sends down 120 miles per hour. Take that, he says. I can see what his strategy is. He's just going for broke. As the Canadian deals with that serve, I think it's still in play. And we'll follow this through to the end of the third set. We'll switch gears after a 3 or 4 or 5 minute break. And the Americans won that first service point with that hefty little serve. The Canadian dealt with the serve, but could not win that point with that forehand error that was forced on him by the American. But he comes back quick to take the next point, so it's 15-all in the third game of the third set. And when we come back from the break, we'll have another men's match for you, plucked out of nowhere from the first round. And what we like to do, we like to bring you players that are just a little bit off Broadway. They're not very well known. These could be the next generation of stars coming through, or the next generation of journeymen, the next generation of players that are going to fill out the ranks of the main draws of Grand Slams for years to come, and give us all great value for us as tennis fans, as McDonald goes out to a 40-15 lead in the third game of this third set. He took the first set in a tiebreaker and lost 4-6 in the second. So it's so evenly poised. It's the type of match that we like to see at this level. And let us know in the comments what you think of this format. But before you do that, let's just do this. And so every time you see that stinger or hear that music or that sound effect, that's just letting you know we're going to switch it up a bit. So the reason we've chosen this match is McDonald closes out that service game and goes to a 3-love lead in the third set is, it's our experience and our pet peeve that a lot of these players, I mean, you're splitting hairs at this level, honestly. Not much separates the elite from the nearly elite. And then there's the nearly elite, and there's those that make up the top 100 who don't get a seeding, and the margins are so fine. And we don't often hear about these blokes. I mean, the great thing about this match, the North American grudge match of the day-night session between the Canadian, the American, Felix Auger-Aliassime, the 15th seed, up against the unseeded American. Well, we want to learn about these blokes, and I'm especially interested in the Canuck to just see what he's been up to. A guy with a lot of promise and a big serve, and gets around the court really nicely, thank you very much, considering his height. And he's grown out of that gangly, teenage period into his early 20s. I just want to find out what he's been up to for the last 12 to 18 months since he was here in Australia at the Australian Open this year. And McDonald, don't know too much about him, and that's what we want to do. We want to, as these chaps, they're just on a change of ends, so you can see the live score there. So that's why we like to bring you these dedicated matches to these players, because let's face it, the Grand Slam coverage, they're covering the top tennis players on both sides of the draw for men and women with a obsessive detail. But like for Wimbledon, I noticed that there was barely a mention of the also-rans. There was barely a mention of the lesser-known players. There was no mention of the doubles. I don't know who won the doubles at Wimbledon this year, in the men and the women, the mixed doubles. And this is all part of the rich tapestry of Grand Slam life for those of us that are tennis fans and like to keep up with, who's who and what's what and what's going on. And that's where this Australian Open life has found a niche, and we're very comfortable in that niche, and our audience appreciates that coverage and doesn't think it's a niche at all, according to the feedback we've been getting from our audience. They're local, they're not general, they're global. So we're really pleased to have your company again for this Grand Slam, and can't wait to see how these first 2 days of tournament play pan out. But we're especially interested, we've got to admit a little bit of bias for the Aussies there. We might come back and do them on the third day of play, just see how they're all tracking. There's 8 Aussie men, would you believe it, as McDonald goes to a 30-love lead on serve, leading 3-love in the second set, serving at 122 miles per hour. So that's how we got here. So let's just do a little bit of this. And for those of you that like to be visually engaged, the score is still there in the background, but what we want to do is bring you a little bit of this. Some sights, sounds, summer of tennis at the Australian Open over the last couple of years. Wise Words Media, the producer of this Australian Open life, we like to get along and get on the ground and bring all the live coverage from Melbourne Park. We'll just have the sound on there as low as possible, because we've got some tennis fans coming up, and they're a bit rowdy. You'll see what I mean in about 90 seconds or 2 minutes. So while that plays along in the background, we've got the live score there for you, and we'll just readjust that. Maybe we'll just try this over here. Maybe a better view. Let us know in the chat. But there's the sights, sounds, summer of Melbourne there, and I'll just move this little bit of branding there, and that's the state of play. This is a score up there, and the sights and sounds of Melbourne Park. Let us know what you think of this content format. But in the meantime, while that's doing that, let's do this. So we'll just recalibrate for a second, and as McDonald, he's not getting it all his own way in this fourth game of the third set, leading 3-love. The Canadian Auger-Aliassime is currently, actually, what am I talking about? There is my undiagnosed dyslexia kicking in yet again. McDonald has a break point on serve with the Canadian. So obviously I'm going to say something that the stats does not represent is the home crowd advantage. No doubt McDonald on court 5 is getting a lot of support from those New York locals as the game goes to deuce. So the Canadian definitely not going to give up this serve without a fight. He does not want to go down another break of serve in this third set, and neither do we, because that'll just make things a little bit awkward, because we only want to cover one set at a time, and that works well for us, as the Canadian says, yep, can do. Wise words media, and goes out to to advantage on serve. He wants to drag it back to 1-3 in this third set at 1 set all. But the reason we recalibrated is to let you know that we're going to go into the background of these chaps and give you a little bit of insight into the stats that matter, and then we might track through a few of the lead-up tournaments in the US Open, the US hardcourt season, see what tournaments they were competing in, as McDonald brings it back to deuce on serve with the Canadian, and by doing that, that just gives us a bit of insight into the current form of these players. Rankings, yeah, great, but let's just see how they were performing in the lead up to the US Open. And why is MacKenzie McDonald, the American, why is he unseated at his home Grand Slam? How did they come to face each other? And if we've got time, we will make time to just go through briefly the bio for both players. So that's how we like to roll at this Australian Open life, as Auger-Aliassime wins the point to go to an advantage on his serve with a forehand winner. So it's the second opportunity he's had to get on the scoreboard in the third set, trailing Love 3, and he gets the job done, because MacKenzie McDonald, the American, loses that break point opportunity on the serve of the Canadian with a forced error on his forehand. So nice work there. So let's drag it back a little bit and get a big picture view after we do this. And that signifies we're gonna check out very quickly the stats that matter. At this Australian Open Live, we have found a niche in the field of stats that resonate with our audience. And I've got to be transparent and authentic. Numbers are not my go. Stats do not float my boat. But when it comes to trying to look into the games of each professional player, sometimes beyond the ranking, beyond the wins and the losses, sometimes it's interesting to try and work out what kind of player they are. And I've often found a little niche that tells us a little bit about the mentality and the character of these players, because like I said before, the margins are so fine at the top level. It boils down to what's above the shoulders, what's in the character, what's the headspace of these players when they're under pressure, or when they're trying to put pressure on their opponents. So let's dive into the profiles of these players in this little particular segment of our coverage. The match on court 5 between Felix Auger-Aliassime, the 15th seed, the Canadian. It's a grudge match to end all grudge matches, the North American grudge match. He is playing MacKenzie McDonald, the American, in front of his home crowd, on his home turf, on his home court. He leads 3-1 in the third set. These blokes are 1 set each, and currently you can't split them in this game, the 5th game of the third set. It's 15 all, and then MacKenzie McDonald goes, it's not, and goes to a 30-15 lead. So MacKenzie McDonald, let's take a look at the stats that matter. And the stats that matter to us are break points saved on serve. Break points. When you're facing a break point on your serve, can you come up with the goods and handle the pressure? And 60% of the time, MacKenzie McDonald ticks that box, and he goes, yeah, well, of course I can. What are you talking about? So when he's trying to make an impact on his opponent, another great stat to have a look at is break points converted. So at 40%, that's not bad, but it's not what I would term, in my professional tennis broadcasting terms, 40% break points converted. Yeah, not bad, but not super. Now let's see how that stacks up against his opponent, the Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime. Break points saved 64% versus, remember, MacKenzie McDonald 60%. A slight, and I told you, didn't I just tell you that the margins are so fine? So you would think that when the Canadian serve is under pressure, he's going to come out on top more than most, because MacKenzie is converting 40% of break points, but Felix is saving 64% of the time. Now, Felix Auger-Aliassime, his break points converted against an opponent, even less impressive than his opponent. He's only converting 37% of the break point opportunities presented by his opponent. So that might account for, what do you think? Does that account for the 4-1 scoreline? MacKenzie McDonald leading very comfortably in this third set. So let us know in the chat, what do you think of those stats? Do you think they're all loaded? You know what? Tell us all about it. What are your thoughts? How do you look at a match between two players that you're not very familiar with? How do you stack up the chances of either one in the match to go through to the second round? I'm gonna predict that it's going to be a tiebreaker decide this match, whether it's a tiebreaker in the third set. Well, it can't be actually a tiebreaker in the fourth set or the fifth set. I'm tipping that's the way it's going, and it's going to be very hard to split them because their stats, there's not much separating them, and that's what I keep banging on about. There's very little separating these guys at this level. And I'll tell you why. The other reason is because MacKenzie McDonald, the American, is ranked 40 in the world, and Felix Auger-Aliassime ranked at 15 in the world, and also the 15th seed in this tournament. So if McDonald does get up, well, who's to say that that's a big surprise, really? So let's do a little bit of this. Because as MacKenzie McDonald receives the first point after the change of ends from the racket of the 15th seed Canadian, he loses that point, and the Canadian says, well, we're not done yet in this third set, thank you very much. And then MacKenzie turns around and goes, well, I'm sorry, it's now 15 all, and taking that serve of 119 miles per hour, 2 hours and 31 minutes into this match, mind you, on Court 5 at Flushing Meadow, New York, at the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center in New York. These guys find themselves 15 all on the serve of the Canadian, but he trails 1-4 to the American. So let's take a look at some bio details of MacKenzie McDonald. Like I said, ranked 40 in the world going into this tournament. And he's been around the traps for a while, but he's not that familiar to me, and I can't stress this enough, underline it. This really underlines our approach here at this Australian Open Life, produced by Wise Words Media. That's why we like to cover these sort of matches, because we want to get to know these guys and girls that are slightly off Broadway. So he's from Piedmont, California, and if you shake a tree and a right-handed, two-handed, backhanded player falls out of that tree, it could be MacKenzie McDonald, because that's what he does. That's his bread and butter. So let's have a look at his activity through the tournament since Wimbledon, how he has been going in the US hard court season since Wimbledon, where he went out in the first round in straight sets. So we'll give that a miss. Wimbledon, we'll start off with, he's gone through 4 tournaments there in the lead up to the New York based US Open. And as there's another breakpoint opportunity popped up for McDonald here, so he is licking his lips. Maybe he's settling into a rhythm, or maybe he just got his feathers ruffled a bit by losing the second set 4-6 to the Canadian, because he's got a breakpoint opportunity. And when it comes to break points, he converts 60% of those when he's he converts 40% of those when he's got that. So there's a 40% chance he's going to win this game on this break point. 107 miles per hour, this serve off the racket of the Canadian, and he trails 1-4. And he just can't afford to lose this game, because he's lost a couple already, and that is it. 5-1 lead to McDonald. Well done, MacKenzie McDonald. And you'd have to say the stat that doesn't get recorded, the stat that you just can't see and there's no evidence for, is what is the impact and the value of the support from the in-your-face, boisterous, raucous New York crowd. You've got to be there to feel it. So there's some momentum, some big momentum swings in this game on court 5. 6-7 the Canadian went down in the first set, 5 points to 7 in the tiebreaker. He came back and acquitted himself pretty nicely, 6 games to 4 in the second set, but he now trails 1-5. That is a huge turnaround in momentum. So let's just track back through the tournaments that these two chaps played. And if this set concludes, in fact, let's follow it live. If this set concludes, we'll still stick with our plan to bring you just a bit of background about the tournaments these guys played prior to this match at the US Open. So Felix Auger-Aliassime not doing too great at his love 40 down. My goodness, this set is nearly done and dusted according to the American. He's up 40 love on serve, 5-1 in the third set, and he's about to take advantage, and he does it in front of our eyes. He goes to a 2-1 lead in this first round men's singles match at Flushing Meadow, New York. Court 5, 2 hours and 35 minutes, sees a third set going to the American on his home turf in front of his home crowd at his home Grand Slam. You can't ask better than doing your thing in front of those popcorn guzzling Americans and with their New York hot dogs and their takeaway Starbucks coffees. They'll be having a great old time in the bleachers there. So we'll stick with this match just for another few minutes, because I want to bring you the complete background of the lead up for these chaps. We'll go through some of the tournaments here since Wimbledon, if I can just get my place. So with MacKenzie McDonald, as he stands to receive, I think it's a change of ends, he will receive the first game of the fourth set from the racket of Felix Auger-Aliassime, the Canadian seeded 15th. But the lead-up tournaments in the US hardcourt season, MacKenzie McDonald went straight into the round of 16 at the Newport ATP 250 tournament in Rhode Island. He had a bye and jumped into the round of 16. Now, is that a New Zealander or a Australian? I can never tell with that. I should know that, shouldn't I? But he faced the Australian Lee 2, and he went down 4-6, 6-7 to the American, who then faced another American in the quarterfinals at Rhode Island in Newport, and it was Alex Michelson came out on top, winning 6-3, 6-3. MacKenzie McDonald jumped on a bus or a train or a... hopefully not next to John Candy, the planes, trains and automobiles got him down to Washington for the ATP 500 tournament in the capital there. And in the first round, he had a nice win. That is a nice win against Diogo Schwartzman. Straight set, 6-3, 6-3. Well done. And then he came up against Grigor Dimitrov and lost 6-7, 2-6. He had a great run at the ATP Masters 1000 in Toronto, which was in the end of the first week of August. And in the round of 64 against the Russian Aslan Karatsev, winning 6-3, 6-4. A nice job in straight sets over Andrei Rublev in that round of 32 match, 6-4, 6-3. Another grudge match. This time the Canadian opponent was Milos Raonic. What is he doing at 545 as a ranking in the singles world? Come on, Milos, you're better than that. But he lost 3-6, 3-6. But it all came to a sudden end in the quarterfinals of the ATP Masters 1000 in Canada. Alejandro Davidovich Fokina winning in straight sets, 6-4, 6-2, to end the run of MacKenzie McDonald. And there's just one final tournament that I want to talk about for MacKenzie McDonald. They're yet to recommence play in the fourth set there, with the Canadian Auger-Aliassime, the 15th seed, will come out to serve. So that'll give us a chance to finish off and report on the ATP Masters 1000, Cincinnati, Ohio, last week for MacKenzie McDonald. He had a nice workmanlike win over the German Yannick Hanfmann, 7-5, 6-1. And you don't see this too often. 2 retirements in a row. One in favour and one out of favour. The Danish player Holger Rune, who was seeded 5 in that tournament. The match went 6-4, and in the third game of the second set, the Danish player retired, and then it was the turn of MacKenzie McDonald to retire, because when it got to love 3 in the second set, after losing the first set, he retired, and the Frenchman Adrien Manarino, he just went, thank you very much, and he progressed. So that's the form of MacKenzie McDonald. Now let's just take a look at the Canadian after this. And we'll finish up with the sights, sounds, summer of tennis. We'll just go back to the live scoreboard there for you and bring it up on the full screen as we check to see that MacKenzie McDonald has picked up where he's left off. He must be licking his chops at the serve of the Canadian, because it looks like he's got his radar well sorted out. Takes the first point off the Canadian in the first game of the fourth set, but the Canadian goes, well, come on, and draws back level at 15-all. So let's just keep digging into the background of these two players, and we'll look at the American's opponent, Felix Auger-Aliassime. Big things predicted and expected of this guy from Montreal, Canada. He's still only 23, but like most of them, he's a right-handed, two-handed backhand player. Now, MacKenzie McDonald doesn't have a coach. I bet you didn't know that, but I forgot to mention it, that's why. But the coach, 2 coaches there for the Canadian, Frederic Fontaine and Tony Nadal. Geez, he's picked up a good coach there, thank you. So let's have a look at his US hard court season since Wimbledon, as he goes out to a 40-15 lead on serve. First game, fourth set, trailing 1-2 to the American. But the Canadian, he went to Washington straight after Wimbledon, and he lost in the first game. Well, he didn't lose in the first round because he had a bye, and he pulled up short in the round of 32 against the Japanese player Yusuke Watanuki, and what a result from Watanuki. He this makes your eyes water. The Canadian going down 6-7, 6-7, 2 straight tiebreakers. My goodness, 10 points to 8 in the first set. and 10 points to 3. Oh no, he went down 7 points to 3 in the first set, 10 points to whatever in the second set. And at the ATP Masters 1000, he didn't cross paths with MacKenzie McDonald, the American, but he did come across a certain guy who's actually a Grand Slam champion by the name of Max Purcell. He's Australian. He doesn't muck around. And he went, well, I'm sorry you're at your home tournament, Felix, but I'm going through as a 6-4, 6-4 winner in straight sets. As Auger-Aliassime is up 15-love on the serve of MacKenzie McDonald. He was having none of that rubbish of getting his serve broken to start the fourth set. He's obviously recognising he's got to swing the momentum around here again. And they're 15 all on the serve of the American. But the American trails love one in the second game of the fourth set. So to finish off the final tournament in the lead up to the US Open, played by Felix Auger-Aliassime. He went down on maybe the same bus, the same plane, or the same train as MacKenzie McDonald, and laced up for the ATP Masters 1000 tournament in Cincinnati, Ohio. And in the round of 64, he had a very nice win, thank you very much, up against the Italian Matteo Berrettini. He's no slouch, but he was on that day because he lost in 3 sets to the Canadian. He lost 4-6, 6-2, 6-3, and the next round wasn't really much to shout about for the Canadian. He went down 4-6, 4-6 to the Frenchman Adrian Manarino. So that's the profile of these players. Let's take a short break, and we'll be right back. So don't go away.
To be with you tonight for this very special Queen Victoria Market night market, which is all about welcoming our international students. Students over the last 3 international students back in Victoria, which is 92% of pre-pandemic levels. Because international students aren't just valuable on our campuses and in our tertiary institutions, they're fantastic customers and consumers. They're wonderful participants and volunteers. They're incredible workers in our local businesses particularly, and this is about setting up relationships for the long term. International student, could you please put your hand up?
Yes, hello, hello. 5 o'clock in
What sort of music we're going to have tonight?
后来的认识。
Volunteers to compete. Stop is Spring Street. Fitzroy Gardens. There are free walking tours of the Fitzroy Gardens every Wednesday from 12:30 p.m.
We tell stories, and our story is tennis. G'day, welcome back to this Australian Open Life, produced by Wise Words Media. We're based in Melbourne, Australia, and that is the home of the Australian Open, which it won't be too long till we'll be floating around the Melbourne Park precinct, collecting a bit of footage, providing a bit of coverage, and enjoying the tennis out there at Melbourne Park. But for the moment, it's our live coverage, match play coverage. The tournament is underway. We're bringing you match play from the first day, the night session in this particular broadcast of the US Open 2023 first round, day one, ATP Men's Tour Singles. And we've been looking at a couple of matches today, and we want to bring you a fourth one, actually. So as that match between the Canadian Auger-Aliassime, he is ranked 15 in the world. We're going to leave that match for now, with the Canadian now leading 2-1 in the fourth set. He is down a set with the American MacKenzie McDonald leading that match by 2-1, and we're going to drift through the men's draw and just see if we can pick up another interesting match to cover. And I've found one. There's a couple of interesting ones here. We could go to court 9. Diego Schwartzman up against the Frenchman Rinderknecht, or we could go to court 17 where Taro Daniel will be playing Gael Monfils. There's another interesting match here between Berrettini and the Frenchman Humbert. Is the 29th seed. Here's a good one. Let's go to this one. This looks like a dead set, pretty good match to have a look at, because these two guys both unseeded, and they'll be facing each other on court 15 there. So let's just set this up for you. The men's singles match between these two chaps. This match is out on court. Now, what court are they on, these two guys? Court 15. Court 15. This match has not commenced yet. Okay. We want a match that's underway. We want a match that's underway because it just doesn't work. We can't broadcast a match that hasn't started yet. Come on. So let's just look for something that is underway. And if they're not underway, they might be playing tomorrow rather than a night match. So let's just settle down and pick through the matches here. And preferably we're looking for something that's off Broadway, basically. So while that's doing that, on the screen, we've put into the chat there the schedule for the men and the women. If you want to take a look, that is the US Open website. We've thrown that in the chat for you if you want to have a look at that. I'll just go through the draw here, and there's a lot of ticks, a lot of completed matches, which looks like the bottom half of the draw. So let's go to this match, which is this one currently in progress. That looks like a good choice. It's an all-French affair. Men singles. This could be in progress. Let's go out to court 4. That looks like a good selection. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not a good selection because the Japanese player Shimabukuro, he is. Let's just go to this. Let's go to this anyway, because if the Japanese player wins this tiebreaker, if he wins this tiebreaker, what's going on with this? That's just a little bit. That's a little bit skew. If that scorecard, it's saying 4 games to. Okay. So hang on. No, I can't make sense of that. It's the Japanese player unseeded, Shimabukuro. He's up against the French player Gaston. So let's give that match a miss because the score tracker is just not making sense to me, because it says that there's a third set tiebreaker about to take place. But what we want a match that's underway. So let's go to this. Let's go to this one I spotted before. It should be 2 French players hitting it up against each other. All right, look, didn't want to get too biased, but why not? Because this fourth set has just got underway, and that's what we like to do. So let's set this up for you. We'll get this in the chat. We'll get this on the screen here for you. So while we're doing that, you can do this. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We tell stories, and our story is tennis. G'day, welcome back to this Australian Open Live, produced by Wise Words Media. We are in Melbourne, Australia, home of the Australian Open, but we are living vicariously through the browser and looking on with some degree of jealousy because the local New York crowds are enjoying a match there on court 14. We've decided to give in to a little bit of bias. We've found a match. This is the second match we're going to be covering for you, the second live match underway on court 14. They're in the fourth set. It is between two unseeded players, the type of match we really like to cover. And apologies for just the tiniest bit of bias because it's Alexei Popyrin, the Australian, up against the Dane Stricker on court 14. This match has been going 2 hours and 2 minutes, and these blokes are going hell for leather. And Popyrin not off to the best of starts. He was trailing 2 sets to love until about 5 or 10 minutes ago, and he came back and won the third set 6-3. And on serve, he's on juice, and under a fair bit of pressure on serve, I'd say, by the looks of it, because he would have lost a couple of games on serve in both of those opening 2 sets, and he'd be looking to make a good start in this fourth set. So whenever you hear that stinger, that's just letting you know we're switching up a gear. So just letting you know that in the chat, I've dropped in details about this match, this first round men's singles match on court 14. It's been going 2 hours already. They're into their fourth set. It's the first round match between Stricker of Switzerland. He's not from Denmark. Come on, get to know your flags. And the Swiss player up against the Australian. And if you want to follow the live score, now you'll notice I've got it there on the screen for you, that live score, but I can't scroll down to give you the stats and the point-by-point play. So feel free to follow it in your own browser. I've put the link there for you, and you can follow along with us, or you can just listen along for this coverage, audio only, radio style coverage, designed to be very listener friendly, but also to provide some interesting footage in the background from time to time. So the way this is going to pan out most likely will be a little bit like this. So if you're paying attention, that means we're just going to switch it up a gear. So we'll just let you know how the coverage will pan out for this set. We're not going to call it point by point, play by play. We'll keep you updated with the score. We'll leave that there on the screen. But for those of you that are visually engaged, enjoy a bit of action, we'll bring you some action from qualifying and the qualifying rounds of the Australian Open, and footage from around Melbourne Park and around Melbourne from, it was only a couple of years ago. Come on, it's not very old. Melbourne Park doesn't really change that much from year to year these days, as Popyrin, he's down a break point on his serve in this first service game of the fourth set for him. He won't want to let the momentum get away from him, having got his way back into the match. He's still a set down, but he'll want to make good his start in this fourth set. So as he brings it back to juice, nice work, Alexei. Both these players unseeded. So what we'll do during this set, as well as keeping you updated with the score, we're going to bring you a little bit of a background on these guys, because that's what we like to do. Because I don't know this guy Stricker from Switzerland. I don't know him from a bar of soap. I'm a bit more familiar with Alexei Popyrin. He's been a regular feature on this Australian Open Life over the last couple of years, as we've seen him go through qualifiers and been given wild cards. But we'll still like to know how he's been travelling. He had a breakthrough about 18 months ago as a professional on the ATP Tour. He's still only 24, but he did admit that last year his breakthrough success at the Australian Open, it went to his head a little bit, and he just had to mature and evolve a little bit in his mentality as a professional tennis player, and just started to realise that he just wanted to knuckle down a bit was probably the best way to go. and he fell out of the top 100 last year in 2022, and look at him now, ranked 41 in the world, and he's up against an opponent who is 128 in the world. So that's why we like to focus on these sort of matches. The blokes and the girls that are, you know, playing off Broadway, they're not often featured in mainstream coverage or the broadcasting, or even publications and news outlets that focus purely on tennis. It's hard to get to know these players. So at this Australian Open Live, that's exactly what we like to do. So we'll do that. We're going to have a look at the stats that matter for these guys as Stricker goes out to a 40-love lead, and bang, he is 3 games to love ahead in the 4th set, so we better get a wriggle on. So let's just have a look at the sights, sounds, summer of tennis from Australia, from the Australian Open over the journey over the last couple of years, and we'll get this going for you. Oh, not that one. Oh, it's too late. Anyway, it's all good, and we'll keep the sound to a minimum. And while you're enjoying the sights and sounds of that, you can see the score there in the top right-hand corner as this match progresses. So let's take a look at the stats that matter between these two guys, the stats we like to look at. So Dominic Stricker from Grosshochstetten in Switzerland. That must be the German part of Switzerland. And he's a left-handed, two-handed backhand player coached by Dieter Kindelmann. And his stats that matter, what we like to focus on at this Australian Open Live, the break points saved on serve, 61%. Thank you very much. No wonder Alexei Popyrin is having a hard time getting through to put pressure on the serve of Stricker, but I can see he is struggling on serve himself at the moment, Alexei Popyrin. But we'll finish off with these stats for Dominic Stricker, and when he is facing break points, he's saving 61% of those. But when he's up against an opponent, this young bloke, he is converting those break points 33% of the time. So it's a bit of a surprise that Alexei Popyrin is down 2-1 against this guy, because Alexei Popyrin should be comfortably serving through this, especially when he's ranked 120 places above this Swiss player. But that's, you know, don't want to be disrespectful, but the Australian Alexei Popyrin ranked at 41 in the world from Sydney. He's right-handed, two-handed backhand player. He's two coaches, Neville Godwin and Xavier Malisse. He was a decent player, Xavier Malisse. So we'll look at the stats that matter for Alexei Popyrin. So on serve, when he's facing break points, he saves them 65% of the time. My goodness, that's not what's happening in front of me here. I'm just going to refresh the browser for myself to make sure that we've not lost traction on the updated score, and they're still on a change of ends, these guys. So let's just take a look at the stats in the match. So if Alexei Popyrin is saving over his career, 65% of break points are saved, but in this match, let's have a look at his win. Break points won. He's only winning 14% of the break point opportunities in this match against Dominic Stricker. No wonder he's down 2-1. No wonder. So play recommences. Popyrin serves at 111 miles per hour. 2 hours and 7 minutes into this match, he really needs to stem the flow of the momentum that is all in favour of Stricker leading 3 games to love in this 4th set, because we don't want, a little bit of bias creeping in. We don't want Alexei Popyrin going out in the first round of a Grand Slam, thank you very much, because the other stat that matters, break points converted, 32%. So not all that great. So that's the stats that matter. So let's now swing into a little bit of this. So we'll switch it up a gear, and let's just go into how spit it out. How has 2023 been panning out for Dominic Stricker of Switzerland? Let's take a look at how he's been performing since Wimbledon throughout the US hardcourt season in the lead up to the US Open. Well, he hasn't performed that well. You would think he had an okay Wimbledon actually. We're not really doing Wimbledon strictly as a rule, but I can tell you that this is hilarious. Dominic Stricker. This makes a review of Wimbledon worthwhile in this case. So he won through 3 rounds of qualifying to get into the main draw of Wimbledon. Now, here's why I'm giggling. His first round opponent at Wimbledon was none other than Alexei Popyrin. Now, get this. Alexei Popyrin, it took him 5 sets to get through the match and win against Dominic Stricker. Popyrin won. He won 3-6, 6-3, 6-2, 4-6, 7-5. And he got through and lost in the next round, the second round, to Francis Tiafoe of America. But isn't that unusual and unique that these two players would face each other in the first round of consecutive Grand Slams in the same year? Now, Dominic Stricker is going to like his chances here. He had 5 sets at Wimbledon on grass and got a front row seat on the other side of the net to see everything he needs to know about the game of Alexei Popyrin. No wonder he is enjoying a 2-1 lead and 3 games to love in the 4th set. Alexei Popyrin is getting his pocket picked. And he'll be happy that he's... he's not... I don't think he will be happy because he's down a service break and he's managed to pull it back to deuce on his serve, trailing 3 games to love in the 4th game of the 4th set. He's serving at a a very decent pace. Popyrin, 130 miles per hour, but that second serve going down at 134 miles per hour. My goodness. He's really trying to wrest this match back his way to take it to a 5th set. So after Wimbledon, not a great run of results for Dominic Stricker. He went to his home tournament in Gstaad, Switzerland, in the second last week of July. Had a nice, a very tough straight sets, consecutive tiebreak victories for Dominic Stricker against his French opponent, Arthur Fields, and up against Miomir Kemanovic. Not so good. A 3rd tiebreak in a row, but he went down 1-6 in the round of 16 second set, and went on to play in Zug, Switzerland, sticking close to his home base, but not very successful against the, is it Belgian or German flag there? Joris Delors. I'm tipping that's a Belgian name, and I'm tipping that was a bit of a struggle for Dominic Stricker. In 3 sets he lost 6, 4, 5, 7, 3, 6, and the American Christian Harrison sent him packing in the first round at the Winnipeg Challenger Tour in the round of 32 in straight sets, 5-7, 1-6. So and as we go back to the live score, it's there on screen. And Alexei Popyrin, he is in all sorts. He has had his serve broken for the second time in the 4th game of this 4th set, and he now trails by love 4 and 2-1. Stricker has got his number. So before Stricker wraps it up, I'm tipping this is going to go pretty ugly for the Australian. He, in his US Open lead-up through the US hardcourt season, he's in pretty good form. So what's going on? It just happens, doesn't it, that players can have some really good results outside of the Grand Slams, and then they get to that Grand Slam. They've got a ranking well inside the top 50, 41 for Popyrin in this case, and he just can't put it together on the day. And out on court 15, he's going to have to break the serve of Stricker here, or he's going to go down love 5. Stricker is comfortable at 15 all, so not much is changing there. Popyrin, he's not going to be, it's not going to be handed to him on a platter. But look at this, he went to Umag, Croatia after Wimbledon, and he went all the way through to the final, and he won the title. So let's have a listen to the results here. He defeated Benjamin Bonzi, the Frenchman, 6-4, 7-5. He defeated the Austrian there, Sebastian Offner, 6-4, 6-1. The Croatian, Dino Prismic, 7-6, 7-5. The semi-final, he went 3 sets against the Italian Matteo Arnaldi, 6-7, 7-5, 6-3. And I'll tell you what, this is a win for the ages in the young career of this chap. Alexei Popyrin defeating Stan Wawrinka, 72 in the world at the time of that match, and 3 sets. Popyrin won 6-7, 6-3, 6-4. Nice work, Alexei, and he followed that up with another great tournament. But he's not doing so great here because he's down 15, 30, 40 on the serve of Stricker, trying desperately to get it back to deuce. Let's just see how this serve goes, because that second serve was 83 miles per hour. That gave Popyrin a little window of opportunity, and he took it. And now waiting on this first serve, if 106 miles per hour, that is quite slow for Stricker, knowing that Alexei Popyrin can pop one out at 130 miles per hour on his first serve. So we're going to the second serve now, with Stricker leading 4-love. In that set, he is now 5-love, and Alexei Popyrin will be serving to stay in the US Open, which is awful news if you're an Australian. Shrug your shoulders if you're not. But I'll tell you what, Alexei Popyrin made the quarterfinals of the ATP Masters 1000 Cincinnati tournament in Ohio. And so it's just the case. Sometimes this happens to these professionals. And I can see that he went through first and second round qualifying to get into that tournament in Cincinnati. And he defeated a Grand Slam champion along his way in 3 sets. Max Purcell, second round qualifying. Popyrin won 7-6. Now, hang on a second. He's gone through as a lucky loser. He lost to Max Purcell in 3 sets, but he actually progressed into the first round of the Masters as a lucky loser, and he defeated Daniel Altmaier, the German, in 3 sets. He defeated Nicholas Jarry. I haven't seen that name for a long time. He actually withdrew. It was a walkover. So going into the round of 16 against the Finnish player Emil Rusevori, winning in 3 sets, 6-2, 1-6, 6-3, and lost in the quarterfinals in straight sets, 1-6, 6-7, to the Polish player Hubert Hurkacz, an up-and-coming young player on the tour. So it is with a heavy heart that we're going to follow this, what is possibly going to be the final game of this match. Looks like it's going to be a first-round loss for Alexei Popyrin. He has been broken twice, maybe it's 3 times actually, by Dominic Stricker. It's the shoe's on the other foot now. Stricker losing in 5 sets at Wimbledon in the first round to Alexei Popyrin, and now he's going to return the favour and send Popyrin packing in just 4 sets at the US Open. So Alexei Popyrin opens up his shoulders, and he has gone to a 30-love lead on his serve. Nice work. So maybe he will get on the board, and he wins that point to go to 30-love with a 4-hand winner. So we'll stick with this. Yep. Oh, look at this. 40-love already. Where's that serve been, Alexei? What have you been doing with yourself? So it looks like he might actually, this is a real surprise, Stricker not able to put any pressure on the serve of Alexei Popyrin at this stage. So, yeah, it's all coming a bit too late for Alexei. He's been broken 2 or 3 times his serve in this 4th set, which accounts for his love 5 position, trailing in this 4th set. Stricker comes back to 15-40 with a backhand winner. Nice work. The net points won. Stricker, a clear winner there. 80% of net points won compared to just 44. That is pretty unusual for an Australian to be outdone at the net. But on the other hand, these days, these modern players, Australians, are not the grass court specialists they used to be all over the professional ranks. But Alexei Popyrin will stick with this point by point, because Alexei Popyrin wins the first game off his serve to trail 1-5 on court 14. So let's bring it home and bring up the score here for the Sights, Sounds, Summer of Tennis. We can pack those away and we'll bring them out tomorrow for the women. If you're just joining us, where have you been? We are live in Melbourne, Australia, covering the US Open. And so we'll just recalibrate a bit and try through our browser, our screen, we'll try to cheer Alexei Popyrin on to a welcome break of serve. But geez, he's got his work cut out for him. I can't remember too many players, men or women, coming back in the first round of a Grand Slam from 1-5 down in what could be the deciding set of the match. But anyway, he's trying. Alexei Popyrin, he's 30 love up on the serve of Dominic Stricker from Switzerland, who serves a very dainty 89 miles per hour on his second serve. He must be going for some spin and pop off the bounce, possibly, but I'll tell you what, it doesn't work. He's down 40. He's down love 40 on serve at 5-1 up in this 4th set, leading 2 sets to 1. But you never know. Stranger things have happened, and fresh in the memory of Alexei Popyrin, and especially fresh in his strategy for this match, should have been, I'll just take a look at how I beat this bloke in Wimbledon, first round Wimbledon in 2023, because that's the last time these guys met. And Alexei Popyrin gave the crowd value for money, because he couldn't defeat Stricker. He had to go 5 sets that match until he won. It was a very lengthy affair. So he serves at 80 miles per hour. Dominic Stricker trailing love 40. In the 4th set, he is leading 5-1. And this match been going nearly 2.5 hours. And let us know what you think in the comments or the chat box, as Alexei Popyrin surprises all of us and wins that break of serve to 40 to love. That is really unusual in this set. Stricker has broken the serve of the Australian every single service game until the last one, and was going fairly comfortably, and he's had his serve broken here to lead 5-2 in the 4th. So we'll stick with this point by point, and we'll call the play there for you. As Alexei Popyrin, they're having a change of ends. Let us know what you think in the chat or the comments, what you think of this content presentation format. We're trying to switch it up a bit, make the content more dynamic, more interactive, and we'd welcome your feedback. Join the conversation. You only have to be a subscriber to this platform for 60 seconds, and then you can chat away to your heart's content, because we'd love to know your thoughts. Why not start a conversation? And in the past, a lot of feedback from our audience, local and global, often generates a topic for us to think about and ruminate on and consider, and sometimes that ends up a very unique piece of content. So I'm going to, while we're waiting for the players to come back, let's do a little bit of this. So just going to let you know that there's some fresh content coming up later on today, probably around about 5 or 6 o'clock tonight. We've clipped a bit of our live broadcast yesterday. We were looking at the career of Jordan Thompson, and within that we discovered that there was 8 Australians. So there's Jordan Thompson just here. We'll bring him up right now, Jordan Thompson. But we were looking at Jordan Thompson, and we came across something that normally we'd be all over, which is that there's who are the Australians currently at the US Open. And great news if you're an Australian tennis fan, that 8 Aussie men have made the main draw of the US Open for 2023. So just wanted to let you know, while these blokes are on a change of ends, and now they've gone Alexei Popyrin serving to stay in the match. He's down a break point. It is match point. It is match point for these guys. Stricker of Switzerland looking to break the serve and break the hearts of every Australian following this match. That he is up a break point and serving for the match on court 14. He sends down 121 miles per hour serve. Alexei Popyrin trailing, he's taken it to deuce. Thank goodness. We can all breathe a sigh of relief, but I tell you what, he's going to have to do that again and again and break the serve off Stricker to come back and take this set. Can't see it happening myself, but we'll just finish off with this, that coming out today at about 5 or 6 o'clock tonight will be just a little clip of about 10 or 12 minutes, just going through the Aussie men, the 8 men who've made the main draw. Who are they? What are their rankings? How have they performed this year? How did they come to be in the 8 Aussie men in the top 100? That is just outrageous. And four of them, as Alexei Popyrin goes to advantage from deuce on his serve to try and take this to 3-5, trailing in this fourth set. But who are these guys? And a little bit of trivia for you, that of these 8 Australians in the top 100, and of the 3 or 4 that are in the top 50, 3 of those 8 players are Grand Slam champions. Yep, you heard me right. Australia currently has 3 Grand Slam champions in the main draw of the US Open. So if you tune into that later today, about 5 or 6 o'clock local Australian time here in Melbourne, Australia, as Alexei Popyrin drops back to deuce on serve in this fourth set, trying to stay in the match. That's there for you tonight to look forward to, and that has just gone into our platform, and that'll be there for you to enjoy later on today. So let us know what you think of that content. So we'll just go back to the live score. Alexei Popyrin still on serve. I'll just refresh my screen to make sure that is exactly correct, that he hasn't lost. Well, I haven't been paying attention, and he's still on serve at deuce. Popyrin loses go back to deuce. Oh dear, he's now facing his second match point. His backhand volley into the net. It was actually Stricker went to an advantage by basically it was a forehand volley winner, and so Alexei Popyrin scrambling to stay in the US Open here. He's down a break point. If he loses this, he's out in 4 sets. Which is a great disappointment, because he came in to this tournament with some fantastic form, having won a tournament, defeating Stan Wawrinka in Croatia in 3 sets. So, it's not like he's struggling. It's not like he's struggling at all. So he's fighting Alexei Popyrin. He's putting up, he's doing all the things he should have been doing. earlier in this set. So he's gone to advantage on serve. He's struggling to hold his serve. Form is a funny and fickle thing. So hopefully he can extend this match by one more game and try and break the serve yet again of Stricker. And he's got to save this game first on his own serve. He's gone out to a advantage, and he's plucked out an ace at 107 miles per hour. Not bad work, because second serve aces are not a common sight. And he was probably patting himself on the back too much. Maybe he was thinking ahead a bit too much, because Stricker has come back, and Popyrin losing to go back to deuce. That point to go back to deuce with an unforced error on his backhand. So he's not in the flow of things at the moment, Alexei Popyrin, and that's not a place you want to be as a professional tennis player. In the first round of a Grand Slam, because you don't want to be at the net shaking hands at the end of a match. So not great at the moment. But anyway, we'll stick with this live coverage, and we'll just take this back to normal service here. For the men, and you can watch out for that new content tonight, as Alexei Popyrin on serve is back at deuce. Has he served? I'm going to refresh the screen just to be sure. So this is our second session of live coverage today, the night session. We were here earlier this morning, local Australian time, and we brought you two separate matches. We brought a full set of coverage for those matches, and Alexei Popyrin wins he's plucked out another ace. So he's a bit rattled, the Australian. The strategy is, if you can't hit out, blast them out. So that's the second or third ace that he's plucked out at 120 miles per hour. So come on, you've got to go for accuracy. Alexei is the name of the game. So he's got advantage on serve. They've both traded advantage here, and it's going backwards and forwards like a grandfather clock. And he's playing like a grandfather at the moment. Alexei Popyrin, no, that's a bit cruel. Goes back to deuce. So at least we're getting value for money, because I was tipping Alexei Popyrin to go down in this match in the previous Stricker service game, and that was not the case. As it turned out, that Stricker had his serve broken for the first time in this set, and Alexei Popyrin, he has now got a fourth opportunity, a fourth advantage point to take out this service game and win 3 games in a row to stay in this fourth set and stay in this match to contest. Can he break back to contest a fifth set? Doesn't look good. Does not look good, because he is dropping unforced errors all over court 14 in New York, and he drops back to deuce because of this time it's a backhand unforced error. He's had forehand errors, he's had backhand errors, they're just everywhere. So it's not going to plan for Alexei Popyrin. This particular game has been going some time. They've both had opportunities to win this game, both players. And Popyrin sends down yet another ace. If only. You don't have to win this game, Alexei, with aces. You are allowed to construct a point. So the adrenaline must be getting to him. Maybe he's getting a bit of stick from the local New Yorkers out on court 14. And Stricker wins. No, Stricker loses the game on Alexei Popyrin's serve. He makes a forehand forced error. So there's a lot of nerves out there. And you don't blame Stricker for having a few nerves. He's ranked 128 in the world. He's come through qualifying, and he's up against the bloke that sent him packing in the first round of Wimbledon in a long 5 sets at Wimbledon in the first round, and Popyrin got through. But Stricker is trying to return the favour with interest. Stricker, I reckon, he knows he can win. He knows this guy's game. He got to see it up close, had a front row seat for 5 sets. Even though he lost, he would have put that in the memory bank, and he would have gone, you know what? Next time, mate, next time, and this is the next time. And Stricker serves and loses the first service point of his game, serving for the match in the 4th set. 2 hours and 37 minutes this match has been going out on court 14, and Stricker's serve might be suffering a bit, actually, serving at 84 miles per hour. So maybe, I don't know, Alexei Popyrin, if you can just get yourself back to 5-all in this 4th set, well, that'll be great value for us watching along at home, and even better value for those watching live at court 14 in New York. But Alexei Popyrin loses the next point. That is another backhand volley unforced error. So he's really the architect of his own problems at the moment. Popyrin, he is down 3-5 in this 4th set, trailing 1 set to 2 to Dominic Stricker of Switzerland, who's ranked 120 places below Popyrin at the moment. But like I've said so many times over the last couple of days, the margins at this level are so fine. It's very little separates these guys and girls on the men's and women's tour. Very little indeed. So let us know what your thoughts are. We've given you a fair bit of information about the background of these guys, the stats that matter when facing break points, when trying to convert break point opportunities, and we've run you through the lead-up tournaments for the US hard court season. And having looked at all of that, not much separates these guys. But the form coming into the US Open, considering all the tournament play, and in Popyrin's case, the tournament success in Croatia, beating Stan Wawrinka in 3 sets, if you don't mind, in Croatia, on a hard court. I think it was. Actually, I'll just double check that. He beat Stan Wawrinka. Does it say? I can't quite see. It was on clay. It was on clay in Croatia, that title win for Alexei Popyrin, which makes it all the more significant because Stan Wawrinka snagged a couple of Grand Slams here in France. And I say here because here on court 14 there is another match point staring Alexei Popyrin in the face. He is down 30-40 on the serve at 5-3 of Dominic Stricker, looking to go through to the second round of the US Open. What can Alexei Popyrin pull out in the stats that matter? He can only convert breakpoint opportunities at around 36% of the time. So I don't like his chances here. As the serve goes down at 70 miles per hour, we're all holding our breath. Popyrin came to this point in this game, another backhand unforced error. I don't know what's going on with his concentration because he's a far better player than that. Excuse me. So waiting for the scoreboard to tick over. I think I've got it there on the screen there for you yourselves. You can see, and that's it. Alexei Popyrin loses his first round match to the opponent from Switzerland, Dominic Stricker, ranked at 128 in the world, 120 places below his Australian opponent, and Popyrin losing the match with a backhand unforced error. Terrible news for Australia, but well played, Dominic Stricker. He took the lessons that he learnt from that 5-set loss in the first round at Wimbledon to the same player he lost at Wimbledon in the first round of the Grand Slam on grass to Alexei Popyrin, and he's come back and he's fought his way. A horrible lead-up this guy had throughout his lead-up matches in Europe. He barely spent any time on the court, and he's come through and he's succeeded in 4 sets, winning 6-3, 6-4, 3-6, 6-3. A pretty consistent performance, even if there was a lot of nerves in that final 2 games. But he got through his service game fairly quickly, which pretty much that's pretty much the tale of how it went in that 4th set. That 4th set going nearly 50 minutes, and the net points won. Well, we won't go through any stats because you can see them for yourselves in the chat. So that is it for today. So because that's our final match of coverage for the day, we've come and done two sessions today, the day session and the night session. So it's time to take a break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We tell stories, and our story is tennis. And if you're joining us, thank you. If you're just joining us, where have you been? Because we've enjoyed 2 great matches today. We dropped in for a single set of 2 different matches, one in the afternoon session, one that's just completed in the night session. And I'm so sorry to report, if you're Australian, Alexei Popyrin, off the back of some great form since Wimbledon, he has lost his first round match on court 14 in 2 hours and 40 minutes with a slew of unforced errors on his backhand, his forehand, his drop volley, but his aces in his final service game were quite serviceable. But they didn't give him a look in against his Swiss opponent, Dominic Stricker, which is disappointing. But anyway, hey-ho. That's how it goes sometimes. So we're going to wrap up our coverage for the first day, day 1, first round men's singles live coverage of the match play, Flushing Meadow, New York. Let us know what you think of how you saw the results today. We specialise in coverage for players that are pretty much off Broadway, who are doing the business. Even just because you're in the top 100, as Jordan Thompson said the other day, it's not the glamorous life that people think it is, and we couldn't agree more, because that's why we like bringing you the stories of these players who are outside the main draw, in the top 100, or maybe they're in the top 200. They've got to go through three rounds of qualifying if they're not in the top 100, and then if you're in the top 100, you got tough matches, seeded players to come up against. So that's what we like doing. We like bringing you all these matches and filling you in on the background of these players, the stats that matter, their characteristics, their mentality, their character, how they perform under pressure. And then we go into the lead up to the Grand Slam tournament, how they've been going, what sort of form they're in, what sort of results. And I tell you what, Alexei Popyrin would have penciled this in as a tough match, but he would have seen no reason. He's defeated this guy once on grass in the first round at Wimbledon in 5 sets this year. Of course he's going to win his first round match. Well, guess what? Dominic Stricker said, nope, not having any of that, mate. And he went bang in 4 sets, winning 6-3, 6-4, 3-6, 3. So let's wind it back to basics at this Australian Open Live. We'll finish up here. Tomorrow, it's going to be exactly the same with the girls. With a bit of luck, we'll be able to bring you exactly the same, a day session match and a night session match. And if we're feeling a little bit cruisy, maybe we'll come back on day 3 and focus on the Australians and how they've performed. So that's it for us for now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You've been listening to me, the bloke who walks. You've been watching this Australian Open Live, produced by Wise Words Media. We are based in Melbourne, Australia, home of the Australian Open. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. We'll chat to you soon. Tomorrow, first round, day 2, women's singles. Don't miss it.